Hey everyone, blessings. I hope that you are all doing well out there. In this video, we will discuss why having standards matter. But before we get into our topic of discussion, I would like to invite you to become a subscriber if you're not already a subscriber. Also, please hit that like button because it really does help me out. And share this video if you enjoy my content. And drop me a comment. I would love to hear from you. And as usual, I really do appreciate your support of this channel. So let's get into our topic for this one, and that's why having standards matter. So standards are basically a defined and clear understanding of how you're going to choose to show up in the world. It's important to have standards because standards gives us discipline. It keeps us consistent as people. It definitely morally and ethically keeps us on a straight and narrow. And having standards and a clear definition of how we're going to show up in the world definitely helps toward us making better decisions and life choices. So standards are actually, and having a set of standards are really critical to the betterment of our lives. So the types of standards that we need to think about when it comes to having that clear definition of how we want to exist and show up on this planet. Number one is personal standards. And the personal standards, it's basically beliefs that you live by, beliefs that are going to govern your behavior. Basically, it's your values and living out your values. And your values are the things that are near and dear to you. So I can take myself for an example. I'll use myself. There are three main things that I value and that I live these values out daily, or as much as I can. So my life revolves around these three values, and that's my relationship with God, my spiritual life. That's something that I highly value, and that's what my life revolves around. My personal health and well-being, taking care of myself, taking care of my body, respecting my body. Number three is my family, being there for my family, prioritizing my family. That's very important to me. So those are the three things that I value the most. Now, there are other things that I value, but those are the three main things. And it's important to be able to clearly define that for your life, especially if you have goals and dreams and things that you want to do. When you want your life to go in a certain direction, you have to have standards. So that's just an example of personal standards and beliefs that you live by. And I believe those values that I just shared are important to me. So that might look different for you, but it's important to have personal standards. And, I mentioned health as one of my key values and things that, that's important to me. And, when you have personal standards, let's say if it's your health, for example, you're not going to put anything into your body. You're going to be, mindful of your temple and, how you treat yourself, personal standards, it can even go down to, how you present and how you dress and how you carry yourself. These are all personal standards. How you're going to behave in certain environments and speak. And these are all pretty much personal standards and values that are good to live by. Another standard that we need to think about and why they matter is moral standards. So we got the personal standards, and now we have the moral standards, and that's ethical behavior. That is things like honesty and integrity and, basically deciding how you're going to treat people. These are things that we should think about. How I'm going to treat the people around me, my family, my friends, my neighbors, people that I don't know that I may encounter. What kind of behavior am I going to engage in on a daily basis? These are things that you have to think about and if you want to better your life and set a standard, a moral standard for that. And part of my moral compass is aligned with scripture and the word of God. And also thinking about, that golden rule that Jesus said, if I don't want people to treat me a certain way, then I'm not going to treat them a certain way. So I treat people the way I want to be treated, and that's part of my moral standards. And just little things to think about, and it's good to have a clear definition of what those things are. Things that you will not participate in, things that might be unethical or even unlawful. So, for example, I'm not a gossiper. For me, it's like if I'm going to talk about somebody, if I can't say it to their face, I don't think it needs to be said, right? So I try to stay away from that stuff, and that's just one of my standards. My moral standards is not to talk badly about people behind their back. So that's just another thing, and just trying to be truthful as much as I can, being honest and acting with integrity. If you say you're going to do a thing, do it, and being consistent with that. These are all examples of what it means to have moral standards. And another thing that we need to think about when it comes to standards and why they matter is relationship standards, right? We need to have standards for our relationships. What are your expectations? Have clear expectations for your partner, for yourself. Figure out how you're going to communicate your values. So once you figure out what your values are, I shared 3 of mine. Think about your values, because all of these things carry into our romantic relationships and into our marriages and into our friendships. So you got to think about, how am I going to communicate my values and my standards to my partner so that they understand. We're also talking about respect, shared common goals, things like that. But it's all aligned with your standards and what you expect of that person. You have to have a clear understanding of how you want to be treated, how you should treat the other person, things that deal breakers, things that you will not accept, things that are okay. So you have to have a clear, understanding of that. For some people, I'll take it to the extreme end. Cheating, absolute deal breaker. For some people, they've worked through, partner cheating or what have you. But if your standard is, hey, if a person cheats on me, the relationship is over. Some people are able to work through that. Some people, because of their standards, they'll be like, I'll never be able to trust this person again. If they cheat, I'm finished. Other relationship standards, like someone being abusive or, not treating you well. And it's like, how you want to be treated. At least you should, hopefully. All of this is aligned with your expectations of that person and what you desire to get out of that relationship. But also, going back to the communication, it's important that we communicate these things to people, because sometimes people don't know. And sometimes we walk into relationships and thinking that people are supposed to automatically understand what our needs are and what our expectations are. But if you have standards and it's clear to you, you'll be better able to convey that to other people. But if you don't have clear standards with your relationships, clear personal standards, clear moral standards, it's going to be hard to communicate that to other people. And then you may be putting yourself in a position to be treated in a way that's not great for you. So relationship standards, we all should have them. Also, professional standards. What is your personal code of conduct in a workplace? Most employers, they have, policies, and especially big companies, if you work for a big company or have even smaller businesses, they have a code of conduct and policies and expectations of their employees. And but I think also, as you go into these environments and into the workplace, it's also important for us to have a personal code of conduct for the workplace. And these are professional. This go under the umbrella of professional standards. For example, something as small as appearance and attire. So I know I can get away with this at work, wearing jeans, but part of my personal standards in the workplace is that I don't wear jeans to work. I can get away with it, but that's something that I don't do. So that's me, that's personal. I've seen people wear jeans in my particular workplace, but that's something I choose not to do because that's part of my standard and professional standard. And also, when we go into these places and we go into the workplace, we're creating our appearance, how we carry ourselves, our standards. That's all part of our personal brand. And it's like, what image do you want to project to the outside world or in the workplace? So for me, it goes back to, personal standards, moral standards. All of these things will help you with your developing your own personal code of conduct. And it's because if you have these standards, you better be able to identify the things that will help you further your career along, right? So you're not going to participate, hopefully, in things that will cause problems for you in the workplace. But if there's if there's no guidelines there, personally, I've seen lots of people do it, and I've made mistakes in the workplace. It's easy to fall into the trap and to get yourself in trouble at work. So once again, it goes back to the beginning of what I said, how standards keeps you on a straight and narrow. Yeah, standards will help you remain employed and keep a job as well. So, and I've seen many people bite the dust and get in trouble in the workplace because they didn't have any self-control. They not aware of things and just not paying attention to their conduct of what have you. But just little things like that. So I brought up the example of wearing jeans in the workplace, and also if you are a person, you might wear a uniform or what have you to work. Making sure that it's clean and that it's pressed, or if your workplace is casual. Pretty much casual, and they're not really strict with the dress code. Just making sure that you look. That's all part of your brand and your package, and all of these things definitely matter. And it goes back to what I said earlier about my own personal standard and about the whole gossiping thing. I definitely don't do that in the workplace. Like, just don't talk about people. That all can go into your professional standards and your own personal code of conduct. Staying away from the TMI, giving away too much information, minding your own business, all part of professional standards. The topics you just won't bring up. Religion, politics, certain things, don't take a deep dive. Don't, just do your job. So professional standards, these things matter, and you thinking about how am I going to behave in the workplace? And you can still have a codified behavior in the workplace and still be yourself. I'm not telling anyone to try to be something that they're not, but listen, even if you work for yourself and you're not working for a company or for another person, even entrepreneurs need professional standards. That standard could be not being late for meetings or late for work. That is a standard, so definitely things we need to think about. Also, I wanted to say, in addition to all of those things, so we went over personal standards, moral standards, relationship standards, professional standards. These are all standards that we need to have for the betterment of our lives, right? To keep us on track. Also, the next thing I want to say about standards is that standards will protect you. Standards helps us with boundary setting and setting boundaries with people, right? So people can see when we have standards, when we exhibit a certain type of consistent behavior, and that becomes part of your brand, part of who you are. A fun exercise that you might want to do, if you're not clear about how people might see you, I mean, especially people that really, really matter in your life. I would say find 3 to 5 people that know you really well and ask them to, if they were to be able to describe you in 3 words, what would they be? I did this exercise with a few people that, know me very well, basically know me almost all of my life. And I basically got pretty much the same 3 words. So if you're not clear about how people are seeing you, or what your brand is, you can ask that question and hopefully the people are truthful with you, and you can see how people may perceive you. But, when you have those standards, people can see them, and they will act accordingly and pretty much fall in line. And certain types of people won't even approach you because they already know, well, she's not into that or he's not into that. So standards will protect you from certain types of problematic people, people who may not mean you well, because, predators and awful people tend to prey on folks who don't have standards and who aren't clear about how they're choosing to show up in the world. But people who have standards and have a set of values that they live by tend to be disciplined and serious about their goals, and that shows up, in your presence. It shows up in your aura. It shows up when you step into an environment. You bring all of that with you, right? So people can pretty much see that, and they know that people who may not mean you well, they know that they can't pull a fast one over on you or try to take advantage of you. They know that you're serious about life, and that because you're a person with standards, they know that there's going to be a boundary, and that you're going to draw a line somewhere, and they're not going to be able to, treat you a certain way. Now that brings me to my final point about this: is standards teaches people how to treat you. So if you're clear about your values, you're clear about all of the different standards that I just went through, it's going to be hard for people to come in your presence and try to treat you like garbage, try to run over you, listen, some people are going to try, but when they know that you respect yourself, when they know that you take your life seriously, when they know that you are dedicated to bettering yourself, and you're not going to put up with any nonsense from people, you're teaching people how to treat you, and you can only achieve that through consistent behavior. So you have to be consistent with your standards and consistent with your behavior. So the more consistent you are, the more credible you become. And then you'll be known for certain things. And then people will be like, oh yeah, I can't do that around her or him, right? They can't do that around you, right? So I'll take another example from my life. One of the things I don't do, I refrain from cursing and from using profanity. I don't tell people, hey, don't curse around me. I've never said that. I may be around people who, use a lot of foul language, but because they've never heard me curse, and I consistently don't curse. What I've noticed is that people I know who I may come into contact with or have a conversation with, who I know curse a lot, because I've set that standard. And even though I have not communicated that, they tend to not curse around me, or they hold back on it. And it's not because of anything I said to them. It's because of how I carry myself and that personal standard that I set for myself. That's personal to me. Is no judgment on them, but that's something I just choose not to communicate that way. So that's just one example. Another example is that I don't drink. I go to certain people's houses. They may be drinking. They're not going to offer me a drink because that's my personal standard, and people also, I go into certain environments, they're going to chill out because I'm chill, so I'm pretty, relaxed or what have you, I go into certain environments, and, people can't wait for me to leave because, of how I, present. But if you are consistent with, your values, and it's something that can be seen, and because basically you're building your identity and how you're showing up in the world, people are going to see it and they're going to treat you accordingly. But if you don't have your values aren't clear, you don't have any standards, people are going to treat you any old kind of way. like I said earlier, these standards, they protect us from, bad situations and bad people, So, if you have these standards, people are going to fall in line, and you'll be able to command respect more easily and influence environments. That's why standards matter. I know personally from me having clear standards and being clear about the things that I value. I know it's been a great service to my life, and it's helped me to make better decisions and to keep myself in line. And it actually helped me toward achieving goals in life, and discipline. So, yes, standards do matter. They matter to you personally, and how you're perceived in the world. It helps you, having standards, it helps you get things done. It helps you to get respect and also influence. So yeah, those are some of the things that I want to share with you about standards and why they matter. I hope that this video has been helpful to you. If so, give me a like. Take care. God bless. And I will see you in the next one.